Hi, I'm Danielle Buckley, Regional Social Value Manager at Wates. I'm currently part of the Housing Forum Futures Network Group, and today on my podcast I'm joined by Femi. Femi is an individual living in London and working in our sector, and has such a passionate and goosebump-worthy story to tell you about how he made a career path in an industry despite adversity and challenges in his life. Femi, thank you so much for joining today. Tell us a bit more about who you are.
My name is Femi. I'm from London and I'm a crane operator.
So before Femi was a crane operator, what did life look like before then?
In actual fact, I was an ex-offender. I was in prison, serving a long stint in jail. And going to the end of my sentence, I knew I wanted to change. So I was just trying to better myself and acquire skills or whatnot. And that's how I got involved with United Borders. And they kind of like walked hand in hand with me to help me facilitate that.
That's fantastic. So talking about you returning back to work, what were the barriers for you coming out of prison, trying to get back into work?
I feel like because of what I'd gone in for, there's not a lot of jobs or careers that will necessarily lay the red carpet for you. So there was just difficulties, and just more of awareness, like what can I do, So that was one of the difficulties for me to get back to work.
So you found yourself out of work, you're just out of prison. What skills did you pull on to get yourself into a job, and how did you find that job?
In terms of skills, I think what kind of helped me the most was tenacity. I've been able to go through difficult times in life and stay concrete and stay focused on your end goal. And I feel like that was very much helped and encouraged and nurtured by United Borders, because they had seen me from where I was coming from and they saw something in me, and so they just wanted to encourage that for it to blossom. So essentially that's what kind of helped me get in to work and stuff.
That's amazing. From a position of being in employment now, have you found any barriers coming from the path that you were on to the path you're on now?
I think that there are many barriers. There was this lack of awareness. A lot of the mistakes or a lot of the things that I had done earlier in my life, I believe if I was aware or there was more awareness to other options, I definitely would have taken that. But another thing as well is that just being in the industry when I first got in, it was a little bit daunting as well, because there wasn't people that looked like me, spoke like me, acted like me. So you felt it wasn't necessarily comfortable at times, the culture differences. So there are a lot of barriers, I would say, or at the time anyways.
From them barriers, what positive outcomes have you seen? Especially, I want to home in on that point of diversity, because you've said there's something that's really powerful to me, that you didn't see other people that look like you in the industry. What are the positive outcomes that you have seen from that diversity and the issues that you faced?
I feel like a lot of it brings forth hope. I feel like when you're coming from a certain background in life, people still have the desire to become successful, but how to become successful, people don't know. And so when you see people that look like you or come from your background, speak like you, in positions of power or success, you know that, okay, this is actually achievable. And so I feel like it's very important, having that.
What would you say to somebody listening to this right now that can relate to you, firstly, from your previous path? So finding work was difficult. What would you say to them?
I think one of the most important things is mentorship, but also just realizing that there's a lot you can accomplish if you stay focused. Prior to me leaving prison, I had bills to pay, I got family to look after and everything, and I entered the industry at a very low point. I started as a labourer, earning £430 a week. That was very minuscule to what I was earning in my previous life. And having to stay focused and go through the challenges and the difficulties. I started as a labourer, traffic marshal, I got my forklift, then eventually got into the cranes. And also being willing to invest in yourself. If you have a goal, you have to be steadfast. And however difficult it is, it does pay off. When you get to that position, there's a sense of relief and achievement. That, oh, wow, look where I am now,
You've made tribute to the charities such as United Borders helping you, the prison service for giving you the opportunities to reskill whilst you were serving your time. But it sounds like to me you really took lead on making that career path for yourself. Yeah. So what kind of advice can you give to somebody listening to this that's maybe looking for work that doesn't know how to make that career path or doesn't know the first step to take?
I feel like sometimes the onus is not necessarily on them. but it's more to do with the industries that are offering these services at the end of the day, because the person may have all the tenacity, the desire to become successful, but if that pathway ain't made clear for them, how can they access it? So I will throw that more to the employee of awareness, just options, career path as well, because without these things, then what's encouraging people? What's the incentive?
So let's circle back to mentorship.
Yeah.
Femi, I've got to know you, and I understand that not only now following the path that you found yourself in, having to serve time in prison, but the most positive thing is after that time in your life, you found employment, but you haven't stopped there. Tell us more about mentorship. Why is that so important to you?
I feel like it's so massive because throughout my journey, if I didn't have that support system, I don't think I'll be where I am today. And just benefiting from the mentorship is something I definitely want to give back, that, look, you may have nothing, but with the right people and right options, you can be successful. I'm a person off the back of mentorship now, as an ex-offender with no qualifications, like absolutely none, no work experience. I can say that in my industry, I'm in a very, let's say, high position. I was able to buy a house last year, 3-bedroom house,
Well done,
got a nice drive, got a nice car. And so all that was off the benefit of someone mentoring me. And that's why that's something I definitely want to get into, just to let people know that you can reach your dreams, it can be done. You just need someone to put their hand around you and walk you through.
So someone's listening right now, they've walked maybe a similar path to you, maybe they haven't, but what you do share the same thought processes. They need a chance, they need to get into the industry, right?
100%.
Where do you find a mentor? If you're not in the industry right now, you were Femi before the industry, how would you get a mentor? What would you do?
That's a big one. That's a big question, because I never got my mentor outside the prison, was in the prisons, but essentially we want to talk not only people in prisons, but people that's before they get into that. I feel like a lot of mentoring companies or like mentoring people, they're very much on socials now. So it's knowing what you want to get, like what path you want to go down, and seeing what support systems that are around that can facilitate that journey for you. And I feel like a lot of mentoring companies, like myself, United Borders, they are very much making a presence on social media as well. So it's just something we can definitely utilize.
What about work experience? Maybe work experience is something that you can seek a mentor through, because
100%.
you've done work experience yourself before paid employment.
Yep. It's true, but I had got the mentor before the work experience, so I never got the mentor during the work. So it's a tricky question, and that's a hard question.
But you think seeking mentorship
is paramount, though.
Is paramount.
It's paramount.
No, and that's great.
Yeah.
So you told me before the podcast that you are mentoring in schools.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Also, yeah, it's amazing. There's a college called Newham College in Stratford, and I used to attend that. I was doing my sitting girls in plumbing at the time, but where I was so much invested in other things, I couldn't commit to it, and I got kicked out. So it was a privilege to go back, I think 13 years later, to go back to the same sector where I had gone through, and speaking to the young people, letting them know the dangers of knife crime, street, and things of that nature, and just encouraging them and letting them know that there are support systems to get to the goal which you want to get to. So that was amazing, and I'm very grateful that they gave me the opportunity. And after I spoke, we had that engagement. I had a lot of people come back to me afterwards and tell me some really profound stories that really cemented the reason why I was there. So then I realised that this is something that needs to be done more.
I want to take the word that you said earlier, hope. So you've done a full circle piece there. You yourself, in your previous life, found yourself as an ex-offender. You then sought out some opportunities within prison to get reskilled for the construction sector, which is fantastic that those opportunities exist. Not only after that did you then seek the mentorship and guidance from a charity that you mentioned earlier, which is United Borders. But then after that, you found yourself in employment, and now you've done a full circle moment back, and you're now mentoring in schools and colleges, which for me is profound. So what would you say to somebody listening now that wants to get into the construction industry, and how would you promote that they do that, or what's the advice you would give them?
I feel like I would like to answer in 3 ways. Essentially, again, the foundation is based on hope. You know, we get into our careers, we have a mindset of this is where we want to get to. We find joy in it, we find purpose in it, you know, a level of success, and holding to that because it's paramount. But also, I really want to really focus to those that are employing people. You have the ability to change people's lives. And so when you see people with hope, be someone that encourages hope and not quenches it. And how we encourage hope is just making opportunities available for people and a support system and a way where they can come in from a certain level and get to the level of success because they themselves are an advertiser, a free advertiser going back to the community to say, look what I've done. You can also do the same. And so essentially what that does is that it covers all areas. A young person's life has been transformed. Our industry is not dying. We all benefit. The society benefits. It's a win-win. So it's more of just creating an environment for where hope can be nourished. Nourished essentially.
And this whole podcast is focused around skill shortage. You just made a really poignant point that our workforce is ageing and we haven't got the talent coming in. Do you think skills is more important and previous knowledge or attributes?
For me, I will always choose attributes over skills because people can have skills, but if the attributes and the characteristics or the desire is not in you, you won't last long. So I will always look at someone that has the attribute and the desire, because if you create the right environment for that person, they are an unstoppable force, which can be very beneficial. So it's always attributes and characteristics over experience.
So if someone's listening to this right now and they relate to that tenacity, that passion, that hope, you're a force of good, Femi. And if somebody relates to that and can think, I just need the opportunity of hope to try and get into the industry, whether they're an ex-offender or not an ex-offender, whether they've had a hard time coming into the industry or not, if somebody listens and relates to you and thinks, I don't have the skills but have the right mindset, you believe that's enough for them to make a career?
Of course, because essentially once they have that mindset, they're easy to be molded, they're easy to, go for training, better themselves. As long as you're willing, you can accomplish anything. That's the main thing, I believe.
I agree. And also there's a place and a part for the employers there too.
Yeah, to give people training, opportunities, all these things. It's a win-win for both parties. It's not a loss.
Do you feel in your role now that the industry is inclusive to you and the previous path that you've walked?
It's getting better. It's definitely getting better in comparison to when I first started. But there's still a lot of work to be done. There's so many people out there that have the skills in which the industry needs, but they're not targeting them or they don't know how to get hold of them. So it's better, but we can do better and we strive to do better. For
those listening to the podcast today that find themselves in a situation like you or can relate because they have no qualifications, what advice would you give to them?
I think that's a great question. It's not really based on skills or experience and stuff, but it's more to do with just your tenacity or you as an individual and being able to sacrifice for a period of time for you to be comfortable later on. Because in my journey, there was a lot of sacrifice in which I had to do because I had a goal or where I wanted to get to. And the skills and all this other stuff can be earned and learned, but it's the willingness. You have to be willing.
Can you elaborate a little bit more for me what the difference is between having experience and this transferable life skills that you've touched on and how that's kind of led to where you've been now?
I feel like these things get exposed through the journey, and so there's a lot of skills that you may have already that are actually more beneficial than what you think it was, but if you don't put yourself out there, how are these things going to come out? And I feel people buy into you as an individual, they buy into your attributes and stuff, and essentially those are the things that will actually open ways for you. I believe so.
Tell me more about how that's opened doors for you then, because I've heard from you today, you had no skills, no qualifications in construction, and now you're in a really good senior position in the industry.
Yeah.
How did your attributes get you there?
Without sounding a bit big-headed, I feel like some people may see you likable, relatable, and then also being able just to come out your comfort zone. That's something that I didn't know I had, but just being in different rooms, different places, and then being able to adapt quickly, being cultured to a certain degree, being able to speak to people from different aspects, and these things I didn't know it was actually helping me in my journey. Because in construction, you move a lot, you see different type of people, just being a people's people. that helps so much. And I never knew I had it, but that's things that I've been told that has helped in terms of the journey to where I am.
You were telling me earlier around the diversity in construction, and when you first wanted to enter the industry, you didn't see anyone like you, and you didn't have the skills either, so you felt that you couldn't enter the industry. Tell me a bit more about that.
I remember, like, academically I wasn't really the greatest, that's one, and obviously we wasn't financially in the best place, so I remember growing up thinking I was stupid, thinking I had no sense of intelligence, because that there was that one path I wasn't necessarily great with it. So when you have that in your mind, it causes a lot of doubt in you, and so if in fact it kind of paralyzes you from even wanting to take a step forward. But having got into the industry itself has brought certain attributes to me that I didn't know that I have, and it's actually empowered me and made me feel that, you know what, you're actually not silly, you're not actually stupid. There's actually skills in you, you know. So it makes you feel good about yourself to a certain degree.
And those are transferable skills that you have paved and carved from yourself through life.
Yeah.
That's not a qualification someone's given you on a bit of paper.
No, it's not. What it's done is that it's realizing what bits you're weak at, but knowing how to compensate with other attributes. I think the greatest thing is adaptation, the ability to adapt.
So a qualification, a piece of paper is great, you know, it says that you can do something, but we've heard a lot today about attributes and transferable skills actually opening doors more for you than any piece of paper ever did.
Yeah, I think I was reading something and they were speaking about there's 9 forms of intelligence. So just because you may feel like you're lacking one sense of intelligence, for all you know, out of the 9, you may be only lacking 1 and have 8. But you've put so much emphasis on that one thing, and that's kind of essentially paralyzed you. So you're actually more smart than you think you are, you know. And yeah, the journey has highlighted these different aspects to me.
So education wasn't your forefront, that wasn't something within the 9 that you felt that was your intelligent arena, but what you found is your people personality, your tenacity, your passion and your hope is your form of intelligence that has been able to open doors, and that they're transferable skills that you've learned in paving your life to date that's opened doors. What would you say to your younger self, Femi, if you could go back?
That's a big question, a massive question. What I would say to myself is that, my younger self, is that you can actually accomplish anything you want. It's never too late as well. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right. Stay focused. And more of, don't focus on what you can't do, but what you can do and what you do have, using that as a springboard to get you to where you want to get to.
So from my perspective, Femi, I would just like to say that when we set out doing this, we had every vision of having real people come onto this podcast, and you've been nothing but that. So thank you so much. Thank you for being somebody that not only has made mistakes, but is now giving a full circle moment back to people that can now have a career path because of your mentorship. So keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is an incredible, not only as a workforce individual, but actually for the wider community.
This has been amazing, a bit nervous, but it's a great experience and I'm very grateful. And everyone here, thank you so much, because this is a dream come true. Sitting in prison, I never in my life in a million years thought I'd be here. And that's me being very genuine. So thank you.
You have heard 3 inspirational stories of people working in our industry. Despite not following traditional career paths, they've been able to forge fantastic careers in the housing sector. Even in the face of adversity and challenges in life, it's possible to forge a fantastic career using your transferable skills. So if you're listening today and you're considering entering this industry, know that it welcomes everyone from all ages and backgrounds and offers an abundance of opportunities both professionally and personally to grow.